Soundwave884 here, the Transformers Legacy review. In this review, take a look at Deluxe Class Arcee from the Prime Universe. It says that right there on the side, Prime Universe. So we're not sure what they're doing. They're taking the Transformer Prime figures and they are, what they said, G1ifying them to make it a little more boxy. You got your motorcycle artwork here, the robot artwork here. Back, you get 20 steps, gets her all the way around. She is probably the most complex of the Deluxes so far. Scan that here and get her tech specs, and you get the Autobot Legacy artwork here on the side. You get the instructions, of course. You get Arcee, and you get your accessories in the box. You get this right here. This little wheel comes in the bottom of the box, and it's got this peg right here. So what you can do with this is you can peg it in this little peg hole here. So we'll just take that. There's also different looks you can actually get out of this figure, so you can store it there. The other accessory you get is this translucent blue blade, I guess you can call it, shield. I'm Captain America, bitch! So you can put this, it's got pegs on either side. Either form has a peg hole, so you can do that. You can store it in your hand if you want to do that. Also, these do split apart, and you can then put it on either form or both forms, like so. Another thing you can do with this wheel back here in the back is remove that. And this can now become a weapon. You open the tire, split that open like this. And you can see there's a peg hole down here. So I guess it can be like a spinning blade weapon for up close combat. And pick either hand. And these do spin freely. Another thing you can do with it is that you actually can stick it on her back to give her a different kind of look. So you'd want to pull this part down. You'll take this out of her hand. And then you'll just the peg hole right there. And you will stick this back here. And close it back a little bit. And you can have this look here. Which I actually kind of like that look. And don't worry, she's not going to fall backwards even with all that junk in her trunk. Because she's got good ankles back here. Now, I will say this, she does tip forward pretty easily because her front feet can go up like this. And if you don't catch it when you put her there, you'll be like, boop. So that can happen. Another thing you can do with these, if you have skids and you have his weapon here, you notice there's some peg holes on the sides. You can always add this to Skid's weapon. And then you can make a bigger weapon or a little more cooler weapon. Kind of like the Batwing like this. Okay. So you can do stuff like that with them as well. Closer look at the Arcee figure. Now, I don't have any Prime figures. I sold all my original Prime figures. I do not have Legacy Bulkhead yet, so I can't compare her with that. But she is Prime Arcee G1ified. I should actually show this to my oldest daughter who likes Transformers Prime. She has the Red Series, the Robot Enhanced Design Arcee from Prime. And she really likes that because it's one of her favorite characters in the series. And she saw this, she goes, that's not what she looks like. But, you know, she likes it, but she doesn't in a way. But this is ended up going to be hers because she likes this character. So I'm just reviewing it and then going to give it to her. Biggest difference is they gave her a nose, you know. Back in the Prime, this pink piece came down and sort of formed her nose. She's a little more boxy in the forearms and then the lower legs. And her thighs are a little bit thicker. But, you know, thick thighs save lives. So that's a good thing, I guess. But, you know, it's just taking her and G1ifying her. And I don't mind it because I like Prime, but I wasn't a big Prime fan. So I don't mind them changing up the look every now and then. Good updates. Kind of like when the Classics line first came around in the mid to late 2000s, right around the time of the first live action movie. They took the G1 characters and they sort of updated them. And I like that. I mean, it's not pure G1, but it's G1 nowadays. And I like that kind of stuff when they take a character, keep its base look, but sort of update it for modern times. I do like that. Of course, I do like the original G1 look as well. More details on the figure. Silver paint here, some pink paint right down here. You got some silver paint, pink paint here. She's got a decent amount of paint. The face is done pretty good. I do have a little blemish right under her eye, or my daughter has one. Got pink here. She does have a light piping in her eyes, so you don't get the dead look. And that's one thing I like about light piping, is that it keeps you from having the dead look when you got a light source. Otherwise, when light sources come from behind, figures without light piping, the eyes can be hidden and look like they're just dead. And I'm not a big fan of that. I like Transformers that have really good light piping, like Cyclonus, Soundwave. Arcee's got a good one here, too. View from the back. It's not bad. She's not very hollow at all. Just a little bit here. This is going to be for transformation, though, so this is actually going to come out and around. Just a few things to watch out for is just the ankles, the feet going forward, so she tips. Her knees can untap very easily, and also so can her torso from her waist. If you don't hook it down far enough, you just have this little portion just goes backwards. So those are some things to watch out for. So let's go over articulation. Let's see, you got your elbow bends to there, 90 degrees. You got upper bicep swivel, shoulders can go out to there. You could 360 if I didn't have this piece back here. I can remove that, but you can 360 those around. You do get wrist swivels. They are there, so that's a benefit. One of the few deluxes that actually has the wrist swivels. Knee bends go to there. Like I said, you can actually untab that. It's not a good tab. You get splits, forward, back. Your thigh swivels are up here at the very top at the hip. You do have ankle tilts. They're sort of on this little swivel thing here that go back and forth. I guess I got it all then. Waist. She doesn't really have a waist swivel. Her actual swivel is way up here in the sort of in the lower back. So she doesn't really get a true waist swivel. So that could be sort of disappointing. Size comparisons with Kingdom Mirage, Netflix Bumblebee, Earthrise Prime, Wavemate Dragstrip. Dragstrip is actually taller. He is just kind of, I got him posed differently. And with Wavemate Kickback, they're pretty much exactly the same height. Before we transform the figure, I just want to mention this back piece here. If you take it out of the box, this part can pop off and probably will. The instructions actually show you putting it back on. As you can see, there's this blue tab right here, and there's a little dip right there above my fingernail. This is all made pretty much of translucent blue plastic up here. So just be aware when it pops out, you can snap it right back on. You see this little pin right there? That's where that little indentation is going to go around. This one of the pieces also pisses me off a lot with this piece. Is just that it will pop off constantly. So that's just something to look out for. And before you transform her, it's just simpler to have this back there because that's where it's going to have to be. If you notice, there is a little peg and 2 pegs and 1 hole, 2 holes. You just want to line those up, and that's how you're going to close and seal up the wheel. And you just want to have that part stored this way. It's just easier for transformation, because that's where it's going to need to be. Alright, transformation. Alright, so with Arcee transforming, you can see my front end popped off. If yours stays on the whole time, and when you get to that last step, it's just be there, and you'll just fold these over. And this is probably the hardest part, is just getting those 2 things lined up, the tab in. Otherwise, she makes a really good motorcycle mode, which is sort of closer to the Prime than the robot mode probably is. Of course, she's got the dual headlights. I don't think she had dual headlights, but I don't recall at the moment. She does have a kickstand, so she can be balanced like this and fall over to the other side with my stupid ass hands. Alright, you take these pieces here. Multiple things you can do with them. You can peg them each in there. She also has peg holes here, so you can have them down here by the wheels. So whichever look you want to go with, you can. That's just up to you. So she can look like that. And you can set some deluxe size figures on top of her. There is reflector, and that kind of came out wrong. The wheels roll really good, but she doesn't balance without the kickstand. So you got to have that if you want her to stay upright. Overall, it's a motorcycle. You got the translucent plastic headlights here. I love the blue coloring there with the translucent plastic. These is painted right there. Wheels, like I said, they do roll excellently. The exhaust is back here, and that does support blast effects. So if you want her like blowing some smoke out of exhaust, you can do that. You got the little lights right there as well. I really do like the motorcycle mode. I have no complaints at all for that. I think it's one of the best motorcycle modes I've seen from Transformers in a while. Alright, so final thoughts on Prime Universe Arcee Deluxe Class from the Legacy line. And the robot mode, I would say she's the weakest of the Deluxes so far. I say she's probably very expressive, probably the most detailed, but I just think she's the most fidgety. Her ankles can easily tip forward to where she can tip forwards. Her back, she doesn't really have a waist articulation very well, and her torso can flop backwards if you don't get tabbed in properly. Her knees don't tab in properly, and getting her in this front end here, the motorcycle mode pops off constantly. So those are big negatives of this. Alt mode, I loved her alt mode. Again, just keeping these side pieces tabbed in is probably the hardest part of that. But otherwise, I think she makes a beautiful motorcycle mode. I can't wait to eventually get Bulkhead. I think he'd be a good G1-ified figure. But this figure here, if you like Prime, you might skip these guys because you might be a little upset that it didn't stick close to Prime, that they actually deviated somewhat. But I do think it's a nice update to the Prime character. So if you like this Arcee, or if you like Arcees in general, you like Prime, I think it should be a good pickup for you, especially if you want to leave her in motorcycle mode. This would be one Transformer I'd want to leave in alt mode. Anyway, thanks for watching this review. Until next one, peace out. Boom.